Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm in morning mode. June 15th, 5 p.m. We're here live, Ingwe Immigration, to answer all your questions. We will have some guest speakers with us today, so stay tuned. I'm just going on Facebook. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're here to answer all your immigration related questions related to Canada. So whether you're inside of Canada or outside, or considering sponsoring your parents, family members, work permits, study permits, admissions, you can post your question on the comment section on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, and we will answer it live. We are a licensed immigration firm here in Canada. Live Canada. So we have a special guest from Rapport Connect. Hello, Mr. Navjeet. How are you?
Hey, Mr. Reza, how are you doing?
Good, good. So Mr. Navjeet is one of our partners who helps international students, immigrants settle in Canada, come and study, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself, Navjeet.
Yes. So obviously, Rapport Connect is our company. It's a sponsored company by CIBC, one of the biggest banks in
Yes.
North America, let's
Yes.
say. And the idea of the company is to basically help immigrants settle down.
Yes.
It's not really for immigrants though, but yes, obviously, majority of our clients are immigrants, and they're from all over the world, from different countries who are looking to migrate to Canada.
Yeah.
And we offer them immigration services through Immigration, through Mr. Reza and team.
Yes,
So,
that's good. Yeah, I mean,
we will-
it's a perfect match, Navjeet. I mean, you're providing those support services that they do need. And one of the key criteria with many people is that, or applicants overseas, is who do they trust? You know, it's a foreign country. They've never been here. You know, maybe they have a few friends who study here or work here, but they really don't know who to trust when somebody asks for payment or for that. So having you, because you're basically CIBC is one of your sponsors, and having a major Canadian bank as a sponsor is very significant, right?
Yeah, that definitely plays a big role. And at the end of the day, this is all about trust.
Yeah.
You are taking care. If somebody's trusting you, literally, with so many investments that they have made in Canada with your studies and whatnot,
Yeah.
they need to have somebody that they can trust and help them settle down in Canada properly, right?
Correct. Correct.
So definitely, we deal with a lot of immigration, as I said, through you, and we have a lot of questions, which will be helpful just overall for people for study,
For sure.
PR.
Yeah.
And I would like to really ask questions for if you don't mind, if I can go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. We're here to answer everybody's questions. So we're here every Tuesday, and it's great to have you on board, Navjeet, today to have some of your network applicants, clients, to answer their questions, right? We're here for the applicants. We're here for people, whether inside or outside of Canada, to really clarify and clear any doubts they have regarding their eligibility, their application, or whatnot, or the whole process. So let me know what's going on with some of the questions right now.
The $1 million question right now is what I think that I've received a lot is what's going to happen with the TR to PR program for international graduates. What do you think about that, and can extend? What can happen with that?
Well, we have to look at a few things. Right now, for the English applicants, as everybody knows, it's closed, right? Unless you can obtain a French exam score. For English applicants, it's closed. They were planning for the 90,000, right? So essential workers, healthcare workers, international applicants, international graduates, English up to 90,000 English applicants. If they don't receive that 90,000, let's say even close to that number, let's say by September, I would think that they're going to top up with another international student reopening, right? But maybe not the 40,000, right? But maybe 20,000, 10,000. Because when you look at the numbers right now, okay, I'm just going to do a quick updated number check right now. If you look at the numbers, right now we are at healthcare workers in Canada, 1,912 out of 20,000, right? So, 18,000 still, 18,098, 88 still pending. Out of the essential non-healthcare workers, 30,000, 14,000 have been filled, 14,170. So I would say by November, there's a potential that that category will be filled 80%. The healthcare workers, it looks like it's going to be slow. So there is a chance potentially to maybe they'll have a shortage of 10,000 to meet that 90,000, and maybe they will consider it by September, right? And another factor is if they want 400,000, because that's the IRCC's target, 400,000 applicants, PRs to Canada in this year. And if they see that with express entry and the TR to PR path, they can't meet that, they're going to push up that number, right? So I would say there's a 60 to 75% chance that the program may reopen, maybe with new criteria, but I don't think so. But I think new limits. So it may not be 40,000. It could be, but it could be 20,000 or 10,000.
Good to know.
So
no, that's actually
the point would be that all the applicants should have their language scores, their work, everything ready for that, right?
So that was my next question that people asked is for students or whosoever it is who are planning to kind of go for this process, for this pathway.
Yeah.
What documents would you suggest that these guys should be ready with, so that they don't delay it like last time happened? Portals froze down, medicals and all that. So what do you suggest?
I would say the language is the most important. Okay. I mean, if you don't have your language, if you're not working, you don't have your work permit, or you haven't applied for your work and you don't have your language, then forget it, right? So those are the three core foundations of this program, right? Being inside of Canada, working, being authorized to work, and having the eligibility such as language. So book your CELPIP, IELTS, or if you have the French, even better, TEF or TCF, and get that done, right? That's number one priority. Then it's about your police clearance certificate, right? So you can apply for that this summer and get it, because some countries it takes 2 weeks, some countries it takes 1.5 or 2 months, right? So this summer apply for that. Having your medical is, I don't think, the first priority. If it is okay, if you don't have a medical, an older medical, I would suggest getting one this summer, right? Like making a booking for, like, let's say August, right? Or September or something like that, because you can upload the booking confirmation. So you don't necessarily need to do it now, but you can book a appointment with a panel physician here in Canada for, let's say, September, and that will be valid to upload, right?
Makes sense.
Because you could technically, cancel that appointment if something happens before that, right?
And with going all this, all these programs, do you recommend international students to stick to essential occupations, like working in essential fields?
Well, if they can, it's good, okay? But we have to look at each person's case. If they already had 6 months or 8 months essential occupation work experience, and let's top it up and make it a 1 year, right?
Makes sense.
But if they have no essential occupation experience and they're just thinking of taking it now, if they can get an occupation which would be valid for express entry, I would say prioritize that. Because if the international student stream opens, then it doesn't matter what occupation they're in, right? Yeah. But they're not wasting time in a NOC C or D. So that means for whatever reason the program doesn't reopen, at least they're accumulating their express entry eligible work experience.
Makes sense.
But if they're already working in an essential and they're almost at the 1 year, then just continue that, right? But if they don't think they'll receive 1 year within this year, and they're planning to start a new job or just starting to work, then let's just stick to the NOC B and A and 0 type of occupations, which are eligible for most immigration programs, right?
And obviously, a lot of people also message us. What about what suggestion, what tip you give to those who are in non-essential sector? What do you?
The non-essential sector, if they're not in there and it's too late for them to get in there and they don't have experience, I would say if they have express entry eligibility, right, to gain more than 300 points this year with their Canadian work experience, that's one option. If they have an employer who will sponsor them through the provincial programs, right, through job offers, that's another potential. Obviously, in Ontario, it's more competitive, but in the Atlantic, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and BC, it is relatively more flexible programs there. But the key point, Navjeet, is to work, right? So whatever they need to do, they need to be working, okay? And with the Ontario PMP or other provincial programs, you can just get a job offer too, but you usually gain more experience points when you have worked for that employer 1 year. Or in, for example, Nova Scotia, you do need to work for that employer for 1 year minimum before you're eligible. So working is key, okay? So coming to Canada as a student or worker, and then graduating and becoming a worker if you came as a student, and working here, gaining that work experience is the most important thing for your first step to Canadian immigration. Unless you're older and you have your own business and you're coming through business immigration. Or unless you're the spouse of a Canadian or a common law partner, then you can be sponsored, right? But anything else, as you know, is going to be challenging, right?
Makes sense. And there's another thing that I think it's like kind of a concern with a lot of students or people who are completing their Canadian experience class, like experiences and all that. At what point, at what stage they should create their profile? Almost when it's done, when it's passed by? What do you think?
Well, okay, so there's no golden rule on when to create your express entry profile. And for people who don't know what express entry is, it's a skilled immigration program which allocates points to applicants based on their age, education, work experience with more weight to Canadian work experience, and ties to Canada, for example. Those are just a few criteria, but age and education and language are the most important ones. So going back to your question, Navjeet, is that they can create their express entry at any point when they're eligible. So if you have a student here who's never worked in their own home country, they just graduated and they only have 2, 3, or 6 months work experience in their lifetimes, that's paid, then they're not even eligible. So they have to wait for the 1 year. There's your answer. But if they have foreign work experience and they're eligible for express entry, but they don't have the 1 year Canadian work experience, then our suggestion is you can come in right away if you're eligible. That's fine. However, be very, very careful that perhaps a month in advance, you might get an invitation to apply before your Canadian work experience is completed. Because there's like this little glitch in the express entry calendar, okay, that August 1st, you have your 1 year work experience completed, but suddenly you'll see like in July, you'll get an ITA. If you accept that, you will be refused. Okay. So they can get into the system if they meet the eligibility of having previous work experience in an eligible occupation, but they have to keep a very close eye on it and not be fooled by the express entry system to apply and be refused because they received the ITA sooner than they should have based on their Canadian 12-month work experience.
Makes sense. That's very important. That's good to know because that is very close, when you can accept it and when you cannot.
Yeah, and most people, and I would too, think that, oh, the Canadian government invited me, so probably I'm eligible. It's like the worst thing you can do. It's kind of like the bank sending you an approval of a loan letter and be like, yeah, you're approved. And you're like, yeah, let's go buy that house now. And then you're going and putting an offer on the house. And then the bank's like, oh, sorry, that letter was sent by mistake. So that it's bad. And I don't blame students or workers or applicants because I would be in the same situation. I'd think, hey, the Canadian government They know what they're doing. They created the rules.
And also the excitement pops in then, like
Yeah, exactly. And when we're talking to our clients and we're telling them, oh, by the way, don't accept any ITA before this date. They're like, what? You sure? Why not? And it's kind of like trying to convince them, don't accept it, because you don't have that 1 year Canadian work experience yet. And hopefully next year, hopefully, we don't know, they will open it up to the federal skilled worker express entry stream, which basically means you don't have Canadian work experience, but you are eligible and you're in the pool and you have enough points to be selected, or the federal skilled trades. Because right now there's two streams that are open: provincial nominee programs under express entry, where you have a nomination certificate, and the Canadian experience class. But next year, potentially the other two streams will reopen as well.
Yeah, that was another thing that people have been asking about. F1 draws have really lately came out, and when that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, we know that it's not gonna happen this year. Next year, we just have to see how the travel restriction, the borders are reopening, because we have clients who have COPRs and they're not allowed to come in. They have the confirmed PRs overseas for other immigration business programs, but they're not allowed to travel to Canada. So that's why they're not inviting any any applicants from outside of Canada for PR right now. This year, forget it. Next year, potentially can reopen based on COVID situation and travel and border restrictions here in Canada.
Good to know. That's very important. A lot of people will be waiting for that. Somebody asked in the comments that, what about fast food chain workers, since they are essential, but then they are not eligible in the TR to PR under essential worker, example cashiers?
No, I mean, cashiers are eligible. So what do they mean in terms of the question?
If you see the comments, maybe.
Yeah, my monitor is so small. It's like, hold on, let me see. It's like this Instagram thing. Hold on, I'm looking. It's so small, it just doesn't work properly. Okay. What about fast food chain workers, since they're essential but they are not eligible, since they are essential but they are not eligible in the TR2PR as the word? Exactly. No, cashiers are eligible. So I'm not sure what that person is saying, but cashiers are eligible. So if it doesn't matter where you work, as long as you're on that essential occupation, cashiers are eligible. Okay. So if you're, for example, if you're cook, no. But if you're cashier, yes. If you're cleaner, yes. And FYI, everybody, I worked as a cleaner in McDonald's when I was 16 or 15. I'm not sure. Right. So anybody, so I know what it is to work in a fast food chain, but there's occupations that are included in the TR to PR pathway, and it could be you watching right now. So if you think it's not eligible, yes, cashiers are eligible, as long as you meet the eligibility criteria: the 1 year work experience, a language proficiency, authorization to work, staying inside of Canada, right? And having, So,
and another question that we received was, do you think that CEC cutoffs are expected to go even lower than this? They're pretty low already.
Yeah, they will. They will. They're going to drop it. They want to fill the 400,000.
Really?
Yes. And if anybody's watched my previous Instagram live, I've predicted that it will go to the low 300s within this year. And they can always come in with a little glitch, like a 75. You remember in February? Yeah. So they could do that at any time, with CEC towards the last 3-4 months of the year, because if they don't get enough people to meet the 400,000. So I'm not saying it will be 75, but they could do it that they'll get
something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we expect low 300s towards the end of the year, and potentially, if they're still short of the 400,000 total PRs that they would have processed this year, they may do a little drop, like to maybe 250, something like that. But low 300s for sure. So if you're at 320, 330, 340, be ready. Get your documents ready because you're going to go on a ride very soon. Okay? Yeah.
No, that's yeah.
Yeah.
That's I mean that's good for a lot of people because because people who are just doing their higher education and not doing a post like graduation back home or when they're coming in, they don't have enough points, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is right now for people inside of Canada who have Canadian work experience, or it could be they have Canadian work experience, but they're back home, right? In the last few years when they're eligible. So as long as that Canadian work experience is there, or they have the provincial nomination, Navjeet, then they are ready for express entry and PR this year.
Excellent. No, that'll be great if. And just these were the basic questions that we have received overall. And just before I go and you answer for the people, maybe some people who join in. What is like that? What is there any tip that you think that you want to give to people who are in Canada right now? Obviously, FSW is for next year, but right now for those who are in Canada, what tip that you give to them regarding documents or application, different profile? What is that one important?
Well, it's different, let's say, scenarios. So I'm going to give some suggestions and ideas depending on their scenario. If they're already in Canada studying, concentrate on studying and finishing your studies. That's important. Maintain your status. Don't lose status, right? Make sure you abide by the regulations. If they're working or graduated and they're working, so as soon as apply for your postgraduate work permit immediately, as soon as you have your graduation letter, okay? And while you apply, you're eligible to work full-time as soon as you apply. So you don't need to wait for that postgraduate. Find a job. That's the one golden rule of immigration in Canada if you're inside already. Find a job, okay? If you can't find a NOC 0A or B, okay, a B would be a supervisor in a retail store or in a restaurant, right? Could be a cook, a line cook, but not a customer service representative, for example. That's NOC C. Find a NOC B at least, or a 0A, which are higher managerial level, and start the work immediately, okay? Even if the wages aren't great. If you cannot find a NOC B or 0A occupation, then go to NOC C, worst case scenario, right? But take the NOC C so you can upgrade immediately to a NOC B as soon as the opportunity comes up. So if you need to do cleaning somewhere, do the cleaning, right? But be on the lookout and apply for jobs for NOC B. And if you're not sure what category it's under, then let us know. We'll always, let you know that's the right classification. It is eligible for express entry or not. Okay, because we've had people, they've gone and worked in an occupation and they thought it would be eligible, and then they figure out, oh, it's not even eligible for NOC B. So don't make that mistake. Don't waste your time unless you're in a NOC C and you're waiting, or a NOC D, and you're waiting for an opportunity to go to NOC B because you need to make ends meet, right? You need to make money, support yourself. That's perfectly fine. Nobody will penalize you. But if the TR to PR pathway doesn't reopen for international students, then you're just looking at express entry and provincial nominee program, or just find a Canadian spouse or partner and get married, folks.
Easiest way.
Yeah, exactly. And they're prioritizing the family sponsorships right now. We've had so many of our clients convert to PR just that way. And, even during COVID, they applied. This year, they're all PRs. So far, we've had...
What about families, or what about people who are looking to migrate from outside on sponsorships and, spouse and all that? What do you...
The government has prioritized these processing centers. So in Sydney, Nova Scotia, they've actually leased a larger building. They're putting in more people specifically to prioritize overseas family sponsorship applications. So if you are eligible in that category, then 100% apply. And one great program that was introduced, I believe, early last year, or maybe even end of 2019, I forgot. But it's for applicants who came to Canada either through refugee or family sponsorship, but due to various reasons were not able to bring their children, their dependents, whether it was, because of, whatever scenario, they would technically not be eligible to sponsor them later if they were children who were dependent. But because of that program that was introduced about a year and a half ago, it's a pilot program. I think it's valid until September this year. They have the opportunity to sponsor their children. So even if they didn't include them on the form, they never told the Canadian government I had a child. But if they came in those two programs, right, the asylum seekers or family sponsorship, they now have that opportunity through a pilot program, which may expire September if it's not renewed. So it's a great program. Just an FYI for anybody out there. And
no, that's
So one case would be somebody came here, right? They couldn't bring the child because the other parent, who maybe they split, didn't give them permission to bring the child over to Canada as a PR, because you need legal documentation from the other parent who's not joining you. And if they didn't give them, the child wasn't able to be included on the PR or the application. At that time, the IRCC would have taken a letter from you that you basically, you're not allowed to sponsor your child, and you understand those, that you're giving up those rights. But now under this pilot program, valid till September 2021 so far, you are able to go back and say, hey, I wasn't able to sponsor. Now I got authorization from the other parent, or now they are 20 years old, so they don't even need authorization in their country. So I can bring them in. So that's just, interesting little bit, fun fact for the day.
No, that's good to know. No, these are the questions. Thank you so much for asking, Reza.
Yeah.
Mentioning all of these questions and obviously giving insight about all this.
There's one comment, I think it says, in my TR to PR application, I made a mistake, some error with dates in IMF 569 personal history section, which will this be an issue? It depends if it's significant. Whether it can be considered misrepresentation or not, we don't know. If it's a very small mistake, no. A bunch of numbers were mixed up. But if you think it can be considered as misrepresentation, which is another word of lying, basically, then basically you would have to send them a web form to correct that. But they may not accept web forms. They may just, so it depends on the specific situation. If it's a small mistake, I wouldn't really be worried about it. Like me in McDonald's cashier. So this girl, the Graciosul, right? Graciosul, she's saying, graciously. Yeah, you're good with the names. I suck at this. McDonald's cashiers, yes, you're eligible. Apply for your PR. Don't waste time watching our Instagram. Apply. In my tier de ledger error dates, okay. Anything else? You see PR under essential category. Yeah, that's right. Cashiers are there. Why are the Foreign Express, is that the one you asked, not being invited due to COVID? Yeah, travel restrictions. So federal skilled workers, overseas applicants, because of travel restrictions and COVID, it's on standby. Can you please answer me too? Yeah, I think we answered them. So you mean they are not taking applications from outside of Canada? Sorry, I got a little late. Yeah. Right now, if you have Canadian work experience, you can still apply for your PR, but you won't be allowed to come in. If you don't have Canadian work experience and you're outside of Canada, your chances are close to zero unless you are under family sponsorship to come to Canada. That's for PR, but you can come here with a study permit or a visitor visa if you have family here, right? Or a work permit if an employer sponsored you. Yeah.
Somebody asked, can a Tim Hortons cashier apply? Yes, basically.
Well, I mean, Burger King, Tim Hortons, McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's. I have a Tim Hortons credit card, and I used to love Burger King. It doesn't matter if you work at Wendy's or what, as long as you're a cashier, okay, or any of the other occupations. Okay, so I highly suggest everybody to look at the occupation list on the government website and check it out. and the gracious soul, if you're a cashier and you have the 1 year work experience and you have your language ability, why are you sitting here watching this program? You should be
should be applying right now.
Yeah, you should be applying for your PR right now, right? So that's that. Okay.
No, that's great information, Reza. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. It's always good to have somebody to, discuss and bring questions from your own network and clients and applicants.
And just want to say that for the clients who have been following RNC, if you're looking right now, go and following Be Canada.
Yeah.
And if there's any queries, you can obviously always join in.
Yeah.
And ask them questions, or you can go through us. And yes, for those who don't know about our company, they can definitely check us out. You can definitely, I guess, connect from this live session. They can go on our page as well.
So yeah, for sure. Yeah, or search on Google. It's easy, right? We're happy to help everybody. And Navjeet and his company are our preferred partners. And we, basically we're here to help everybody. And then the last question before we wrap up, what is it? Crazy Urvashi. How long does it take to get a PR if I apply early next year? Can I get a PR and find a job in Canada? Well, it depends if you're inside or outside of Canada. You don't need a PR to find a job. You just need a work permit or authorization to work. Let's say even if you're on a study permit and you want to work part-time or full-time during academic holidays. To get a PR, you need to be eligible. You need to apply, and the processing times can range anywhere from 6 months if you're inside of Canada to 18 months, depending on the program of choice and if you're outside of Canada. Right now, Navi, just so you know, some of our Express Entry clients have received their final letters for the PR, and one of them was 5 months, one of them was 3 months. They don't have their final COPR yet, but it's the final stage where probably in the next 6 weeks we expect their CO. So 3 to 6 months right now looks like the Express Entry CEC processing times.
That is fast.
Yeah, well, they need to be fast. There's so many applications, there's huge backlog, and they need to meet the 400,000 target for this year, according to the Canadian Immigration Department. And next year, it's again 400,000. So immigration is hot. If you're outside of Canada, you need to be here to have the best chance of PR. Contact us through our website. Navjeet is there too, through their company, Rapport Connect. And again, folks, we're here every Tuesday, 9 a.m., 5 p.m. to answer all your questions live. You just post it on the comment section. And there's no question that's too, let's say, easy to ask or too complicated. We're here to help everybody, whether you're inside or outside of Canada. We speak over 7 languages on our team, and we're happy to support. Thank you, Navjeet, and we hope to see you soon again in our next sessions, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you all.
Bye, Navjeet. Thanks to YouTube. Cheers.